Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to this episode of Online Store Success. I have a very, very special guest today. I have the beautiful Victoria Gibson, who was my very, very first business coach. I am so thrilled to have you here today, Victoria, to share all your wisdom and gold. And thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, my absolute pleasure. I would always come on anytime. Love to have a chat and have an excuse to catch up with you. So it's great
I
to
know.
be here.
We've just been chatting for 30 minutes before
Yeah,
we record. We've had much to catch up
probably
on.
should have just recorded it.
Probably should have, but thank you again for being here. I just am in such awe of you, and I guess
Oh,
you're a chameleon, if you like, where you're pivoting and changing and adapting your business to suit your lifestyle, what you're feeling passionate about, and
mm,
who it is that you want to serve. And we'll just chatting, and we'll share more about that in just a minute. But
yeah.
tell us a little bit about who is Victoria, and a little bit about your journey so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, now my latest iteration is that I'm the creator of souldeepsuccess.com, and I'm helping women create breakthroughs that help them make great money doing what they love using the power of human design. So we'll get into what human design is and how that can really help you step into a more purposeful path that perhaps you haven't wanted to jump into or you haven't known is there, but you know that something's kind of missing, even if you've created great success. And I know your audience are a lot of business owners, so I'll talk more to that today and how that relates to having a business. I'm an ex-corporate person as well, so I left corporate back in 2010 in July. Got
Wow.
sick of sort of that life, even though, I'm a Gen Xer. I turned 50 last year. So I, went to uni, worked my way up the corporate ladder, thought I had to tick all the boxes, get married, have kids, have a six-figure management career in corporate, do all that kind of stuff. And really found myself going, well, I don't really like this. I left my ex-husband, got a divorce, became a single mother, and then was working in corporate and just finding that that lifestyle wasn't really suiting me. This was obviously way before the days of a lot more of the flexible working path that probably would have actually halted my jump into entrepreneurship if that had been around, but that just was not possible back then to be in a management role and have that flexibility. So I started to get disenchanted as I sort of had throughout my life. I'd find that I'd reach these kind of goals of success, like, great, you've got a six-figure management career, or you got married and you got this $1 million house, or you have your kids and you do all these things, and every time I'd just be like, oh, maybe I need a better job, or maybe I need a better house, or if only I had this, that, then everything would feel better.
Mm.
And I sort of have found over the years that none of that really does. Even then, creating my own online business, making multi six figures in my business, great, that should make me happy. No, it didn't. So every time I'd move, I'm like, why could I have the ability to create this stuff, but never really feel satisfied for long enough to, make the most of it and sort of slip into that goal state that you're always kind of working towards as a bit of a driven woman. And so over the last kind of couple of years, I have gone deeper into human design. I kind of stumbled on it. I've always been into, obviously, as a child of the 80s, 90s, into self-development and self-improvement. And I think a lot of us who start our own businesses are into that, like have a deeper level of self-awareness and personal responsibility for the success that you want to create. And so we're a bit of a different breed, I think, in many ways when we're driven and we want to kind of understand ourselves. And astrology had definitely helped me do that. And even one of my clients that I used to mentor, Bridget Esselmont, has Biddy Tarot. I love her stuff as
Mm.
well. And she introduced me to tarot on one of the retreats that she came to of mine. And I was like, wow, okay. So I thought tarot was quite amazing, and astrology, those things were like kind of good pointers and guides and would definitely help. But I was like, it wasn't really giving me that much of a kind of, it wasn't giving me the insights that I was really looking for. And when I came across human design, I remember it just felt like it was such a revelation. It was like, oh my God, a spotlight kind of came out and shone on me and said, I see you. It's okay. It's okay. I get who you are. And this is probably why certain challenges have come up for you, or, the need to want to pivot and reinvent yourself a lot comes up. For me in my design, that's kind of the person I'm born to be. And with human design, it's kind of like astrology times 1,000. There's a lot of nuance to it. But what I love most about it is that it is an invitation to just sort of live into your highest potential. And it's a map to your success, and also some of the blocks as you go deeper in there, some of the challenges and things that perhaps, you can work through to get more of that gold out of who you are, that, if you're a success-minded woman, you've got the ability to create success. And the only real thing is yourself getting in the way. You can create what you want. And after I'd done the jumping out of corporate and create my own business coaching business, as you were part of, and it was so amazing to work with many women and help them create like amazing success. But I was always like, okay, the mindset thing kept coming up. I was thinking, I really want to help them more with that mindset. I could see they'd get stuck. And so I then became, got a certification in life coaching with the life coach school, and then thought, right, my thoughts are the key to everything. But what that did was just further perpetuate getting me stuck in my mind. And this happens to a lot of us, right? Our mind is not the place to make decisions. And, there's always blueprints for success and formulas and things to follow. And you always see people out there and compare yourself to them and think, oh, I want that. I'll just follow that formula and it should work. And hardly any of those ever worked for me. Some of them did, which was great. But a lot of them kind of didn't. And I'd make myself sort of wrong about that. Like, how can I help other people create $1 million businesses, but I couldn't create my own? How come I was kept getting myself burnt out? How come I wanted to kind of blow up my business every couple of years and totally create it from scratch? All of those things, like, I just thought was something wrong with me, right? Like, I was just like, okay, well, I just obviously can't get my shit together myself. I can help other people, but I can't help myself, right? And so I think that actually caused that, and burnout caused me to just sort of really doubt myself, and it held me back for like many years, right? So if I had found human design earlier, oh my God, I mean, I wish I'd found it in my teens, really. I absolutely think it's such a game changer. And why for me it is that I'm a certain type of human design. I'm a manifester, which is one of the types, and we'll go into some of the types and how they sort of impact your business. But if we just look at the type, I'm here to kind of initiate and inform the energy types, which most people are an energy type, which they're kind of in this group called generators. So a manifesting generator and a generator. And then there's projectors and reflectors. So there are 5 types, but the type that I am is here to initiate, inform, and, kind of get things moving, to get energy types to either create that for themselves or for the greater collective, right? Like, that's part of who I'm here to be. So I'm not really here to finish stuff. I'm not really here to do the same thing again and again, and I won't have direct access to the energy to do that. So I get downloads and they just come, and I need to go when that happens, right? Like, it's there, it's got to be created, and I've got to just go and make it happen. And that can look messy from the outside, but it can create really big breakthroughs. And so other things are like my energy, my aura, for want of a better word, which is just kind of like a bit of how people feel you when you're around them, is like a bit triggering, right? Like it, and I always knew that, but then made it like, oh, I must be a person that people don't like all the time. Or I used to joke and say, half the people love me and half the people can't stand me, and I can't work out who that's going to be at any given moment. What? It was really confusing to me, and it made me change a lot of my natural ways of being, and not for the better. So when I pivoted my business coaching business, because I got burnt out comparing myself to other people and overthinking what I was doing, then I followed other formulas that were keeping me still in my mind and making me wrong doing the things that I'm really good at, like creating an insight for people, or just getting an insight and a download and seeing something for someone and being able to share it and communicate it through my voice. Like I do share that way. That's very much what I'm here to do. Right.
Yeah.
But it just would,
It's
I get all messed up in my head and get stuck. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, because I'm just thinking back to the first time I met you was in Bali, and it
Yeah.
was a retreat that you were hosting together with Denise Duffield Thomas and Jodie
Mm,
Dallas. And
yeah.
I didn't know you and I didn't know Jodie, I knew Denise. But I was just so drawn to you. Like it was like
Mm,
magnetic for me. I was, couldn't get enough. Everything that you said just seemed to land and resonate so much for me. And I was obviously definitely one of the people that was not triggered by you, but in fact
yes.
drawn to you and what you had to share. And you were the very first person, and I still remember it clear as day, that opened my eyes to other opportunities in business and life. And I was there on that retreat for my fashion business for Island Co.
Yes. Yeah.
And sort of, looking at ways to grow that. And I remember you said to me, so clear, like it was yesterday, Jodie, I think this fashion business is a stepping stone to your next business. I don't think this is the end destination. And I remember just looking at you and going, wait, what? What do you mean? This business has been my kind of like high entire world for the past 12 months or 18 months.
Yes.
Can't even see any other possibilities beyond this. And, that's changed my life because obviously I've had this coaching business, which I do now full time
Mm,
after selling the fashion business. But this coaching business has been around 7, 8 years as well that I've been doing this. And it
mm.
just fills me with so much satisfaction and joy and gratitude for the people that I work with. And, it was your insights and your wisdom and vision, right? I guess for me, seeing something else in me that has changed the trajectory of my life. So it's so interesting that you say that.
Yeah. And that's when I wasn't like I was in flow when I could work that way and when I had clients who were receptive because the other part of the thing there is that you were receptive to that, right? Like that connected with who you were, even though it was challenging. You have the foresight and the drive to want to change and want to open yourself up to your potential, so you were ready to receive it. And
Mm.
because you're an energy type, right? You're a generator, right?
Yeah.
And there's another element of why we get along really well as well, is because I am here to kind of initiate and inform for energy types. So if you're open to hearing it and you're ready to change,
Yeah.
it's kind of really invigorating for you because you've got the energy to keep going and making it happen. And the other part that why we get on so well is there's another part of human design. There's your type, which is one of the 5 types. It's kind of like the vehicle that you're here to drive in this world. And then there's your profile, which is kind of like how people see you and how you are in the world. A little bit more like it's not really just a personality test, but it's kind of how you express who you are and how people see you and how you find your kind of gifts and things like that. So we are 5/1 profiles. So we both have that. So when you meet another person who's got the same profile, it's like an instant kind of handshake, an invisible handshake where you're like, I know you think like me. I just get it. Like I like you instantly. And I'm never like proven wrong with that. It's just that it sort of works even if we're different types,
Yeah.
that profile will just sort of will have that instant recognition. And what was interesting about that retreat too is that like I did that with Jodie and Denise. And Jodie and Denise, I found through entrepreneurship. So they weren't friends that I'd known for a long time. I came to them in the online world, and Denise and I went to an event and met, and Jodie was actually my ads client back in the day.
All
And
right.
the reason we both like they were both for me such very strong friendships and instant friendships. And that wasn't a profile thing. We all three of us are manifesto human design types, but we have slightly different we've got different profile types. So
Mhm.
the 5/1 that you and I recognize, they're not. So
Right.
even though you wouldn't necessarily think like Denise, Jodie, and I are very different in many ways, but the one thing that we do have is that we have the ability to just go, okay, yep, we're going to go and do that. We're creating that. We're going all in. But Denise has like a different authority. So we're going to talk about making better decisions in your business. One of the things I love about human design is it tells you where to go first to make the decision. And it's not, none of those authorities are your mind, right? So we don't go to our mind. You can use your mind to process and, kind of review and go through once you're making decisions or once you're on your path, but it's not the place to make decisions, big or small. So, and that goes against everything we've been taught, right? Like it's hard. And you in your design are going to want to do that more than some other people just by some, I won't get into the geek out in the nature of your design, but I've gone into your design and I know what's there, but you will want to go to a lot of those kind of logical ways of being, but that's where the lesson is for you to even turn that around and get people getting to a level of understanding without having to go to their mind. So you can still systemize and formalize things, which is what you do. And in your profile, you're a great teacher, right? So a 5 is a natural leader, influencer, teacher. So people are drawn to us to learn from us naturally without us even really having to do anything. That is within our design. So that's why you're getting pulled to do that as well, right? That made sense for you to go, oh yeah, I kind of want to gather people. And that's why you're really good at what you do. And you're an amazing coach as well. But yeah, with say Denise, for example, her profile type is about her community, her network, like that kind of opportunities and activities come from her community. And she's got a huge community of clients, right? Like it's a bigger like family within itself almost, right? So that's what lights her up. So she always loves going to events and meeting other people because that's such a big part of her profile. But then her decision making, she needs to sort of wait a bit longer. She's got what's called emotional definition, which roughly half of people have. You have this too, Jodie. So you need to your main strategy for your type is to wait to respond to anything really and feel called. And then you need to wait as well until you're in what's called emotional clarity, where you're not in a high or a low emotionally, where you're not feeling like, okay, yeah, fantastic. That I'm so excited. I have to buy that right now, or I have to be part of that. Or you're feeling like, okay, no, like I'm just in a bit of a gloom this day or week, like, because whatever happens, you're going to be going up and down with an emotional wave with having that emotional definition, right? So it's just slightly different parts and where you have your centers defined as to how you kind of show up and what you're motivated to do in your business and what you have capacity for in your business as well. So all of us, like Jodie, me and Denise, we all get very tired much, much quicker than you're going to, Jodie. Like you're going to outlast us. Absolutely. But if someone tells us what to do, it's very hard for anyone to initiate at us, right? Because we're at the front going, hang on, this is what I see. Come along with me. This is what we're doing. So getting like investing in coaches, for example, for me is difficult because I hate being told what to do. So then I'd always work out, why is everyone in the mastermind making millions of dollars and I'm not, right? Like, because I just never want to follow anyone else's advice. I was like, I hate being told what to do. So
that's so interesting, that level of clarity around like who it is, that you are in yourself to understand that. Because I'm sure there's so many people listening right now that are like, light bulbs going ping, 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 ping. Maybe it's not something necessarily wrong with me. Like I'm telling myself, this is all to do about my, my profile and my, who I am, my core. So wow, that's incredible.
Yeah. And it just relieves you from so much of your own self-imposed like anxiety and mental chatter. And a lot of that sabotage and stuckness comes from what we're thinking about ourselves, what we're trying to do to get other people's approval or whatever's you've got that unique like map within you. And you will find that you're naturally trying to follow things, but maybe you got conditioned. What they like to say in human design is where we are born with that design, but we get conditioned out of a lot of our natural sort of gifts and talents and instincts by other people's conditioning or society or whatever it's, the structures are. And I'm not meaning to, get all hippy dippy about it. It's just like, as particularly as women and success-minded women, of course, the world is generally not a kinder place for us. And then what's our default? We go to compare ourselves with everybody else. So we want to be mindful about who we're comparing ourselves with, because but when we pay attention to our design, we can make better decisions in that way. Or we can say, oh, okay, I can see that they've got, a business where that they're showing up a lot, or maybe they like to talk, they do a podcast like yourself, you're great at doing that and coaching people. But then there might be some other business owners on the call that are like, no, I really love just the creative inspiration. I like to be designing, or I love the beauty of things and I want to make my website look great, or I want to geek out on ads to sort of get the systems and structure and flow happening, but I'm happy to have someone else be the mouthpiece of my business. Or I don't want to show up every day in my business. How can I build a business that helps me do that? All those kind of things. Or I'm happy to show up and I can get a lot of things done, but I'm going to build in rest times or whatever that might be. So it really does depend on your design. So in my website, souldeepsuccess.com, you can go there and get like a free report that gives you your type and authority. So at least it gives you, even if you just have a general level of awareness of that, things can start shifting for you quite substantially in your business. So it's just about awareness, really, which is great.
What are the five, what are they called?
Types. So human design types. So if we talk types, there's 5. So there's a manifestor, which is like me, that so each of the types has a strategy, like a way that it feels most at home, like itself. Okay. So for my strategy is as a manifestor, or the manifestors, they make up about 8% of the population. So we're quite rare. And I don't meet a ton of manifestors. And I don't really have too many as clients, because we hate to be told what to do, right? So we know everything. Anyway, no, that's another profile type that does that too. But anyway, manifestors are here to inform, and our self theme, or what, when we know we're living ourself, it's about creating peace for ourselves. Okay. So we feel at peace. So you'll know that you're living your design. You'll know that you're trusting your instincts and kind of stepping into the power of your design when you have your self theme. You're feeling more like that than not, which is, so for me, it's peace. And then the not self theme, so when we know we're probably doing things that we're not liking, it's anger. So and when I reflect upon that, I thought, I'm not an overly angry person. But then I thought about when I was parenting toddlers and how angry that would make me. So, just the relentless nature of parenting was just not my cup of tea. And it used to make me like quite explosively angry, like, which I hate to say now, but like I would be having almost a tantrum myself at my kids, because I found it, which I'm sure a lot of other mothers do, regardless of your type. And hey, I see you and I hear you and I'm fine with it. But, understanding. So for parenting, human design is amazing to even understand the design types of your children and how the design types interact and how your design interacts with your kids and things like that. It can be really, really useful. So then there's the generator types, and there's one they're roughly sort of, 27 and 37% of the population. So there's a manifesting generator, which is kind of between a manifestor and a generator, in that they have the ability to sort of get things happening quicker, but and pivot while they're there. But they still have to wait to respond. That's their best strategy, which is the same as a generator. And their signature, like being, like when they're being their self, is satisfaction. So they'll feel like those levels of feeling satisfied with what's happening, and all of those kind of, beautiful things that come when things are moving in the right way. And then when they're not, it's frustration. So you like it, and look, they're human emotions, right? Anger and frustration. Of course, you're going to feel those in the spectrum of human emotion, but particularly that kind of way of being, if you're feeling that more often than not, then it's probably a sign that you're doing things that aren't really in line with your design. So there's manifesto, manifesting generator, generator, which you are. So your strategy is to wait to respond as well. And the same with the satisfaction and the frustration. The difference for you is it's really important to pay attention to your authority, but also you want to kind of wait to engage your sacral, your gut, which is where our energy is. So this sacral center in your body, in the energy types, it's defined, and that's what makes you an energy type generally. So that's why we know a manifesting generator or a generator has that defined. And that means that they have more access to longer lasting energy. And another hallmark of being a generator is that you're going to keep going till that stuff gets done, right? Like you're not going to give that up. You see things through to the end generally, right? Some other nuance in your type may mean that doesn't happen, but generally you will see things. You do not give up. You will see things through to the end. And others really, you have an aura that people are really attracted to and they like it. Like they kind of like, it feels like it's really welcoming. People are like always more attracted to a manifesting generator or a generator because of your aura. People are drawn to you because they know that things are going to get created and you're going to make things happen, right? And so that's a beautiful place to be. But the world is built for generators pretty much, right? Like they're designed to do the work in the world, make it happen. They're like, work well with others, that kind of stuff generally happens at a higher level. Obviously, there's difference in everyone's design. But yeah, so with a generator, you're going to attract people, but the issue is the strategy to respond is really important because a lot of people ask you to do things or you'll get things put on you because of that type, right? Because they know that you're going to complete them. They know you're going to do the work. It's going to happen. So if you're not conscious of going, okay, hang on, I need to follow my strategy for decisions, you can get very overloaded and very frustrated and still burnt out and tired, right?
And I've had a number of instances recently where people have taken advantage, I suppose, of that energy, right? Well, they're like, no, Jodie will help. We're friends. She's fine. She'll keep going
Yes.
until the point where then I just implode. And then, yeah.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah. Because you were accepting those, or you were responding to those invitations out of probably obligation or conditioning. Like, oh, well, they're going to think I'm a bad person if I don't do that. So, but you need to, if you are feeling, that's also sometimes responding in an emotional high or low where you feel like, oh, I'm really annoyed that they've asked me, or you're feeling obliged, and that is still an emotional response. So if you're making that decision while you're feeling a bit charged, it's not going to work out well for you.
Yeah.
Right. So it's important even to say, if someone was going to ask you again, hey, I've got a bit on my plate at the moment. Can you just leave that with me and I'll come back to you tomorrow and let you know whether I can or I can't.
Yeah.
Right. So so if you're a business owner too, and perhaps you're running group programs or you're managing your team as an e-com business owner, that's a very big part of it as well, or responding to customer feedback and things like that. If you know that you are getting like that pressure to, oh, I need to respond quickly or I need to make that better, then, depending on your authority, even if it's sacral or it's your emotional authority, for me, it's actually my willpower or my ego is my authority. So I have permission. I like to tell people I have permission to be an asshole, but I can pretty much do what I desire. Like that's why my journey in the world is a lot. It sounds great, but then it can be really difficult because it's like, who lets you do what you're allowed to do? Like I've had to do a lot of like mind, deconditioning out of my mind that I'm not allowed to do that. And in fact, that's going to be what serves me. So for you, what's going to serve you is taking the time and just taking back that time in responding. And anyone who is a manifesting generator or a generator, you want to kind of wait to see if your gut response is a yes, which is more like a aha or an in your gut. But if you've got the emotional authority, that kind of takes over everything. So that's the strongest authority in humans is our emotions. So because yours is defined, it just means it's more fixed, right? So it's going to be more present in your life. And so you need to be able to pay attention to that to make powerful decisions and make sure that it's not overtaking where you really need to go. So you're designed to make great decisions in emotional stillness. So building in that time to respond for anything within your business will be great. And say the kind of invitations that you want to say yes and no to, taking the time to really be clear on that, not just sort of jumping in from emotions or your head, is really important as well. So those are the energy types. Then there's another type, and this one in business is a little like my type, where we don't have consistent access to energy and we get very tired, and it's called a projector. And a projector has a bit of a different aura as well. So my aura, or it can be closed and repelling, right? It can also be very triggering to others because I'm designed to initiate people. And if they're not open to being initiated, they will like really, it won't be a great response. And you can take this kind of like, you can make that all about you, or you can say, oh, okay, no, they're not designed, they're not on. In human design, we call it our fractal, right? Like if we are living our design and we are stepping into our purpose, we can't help but help others who are ready to hear from us or who are drawn to us to do the same. So it's kind of like this inbuilt coaching mechanism and personal development way of being, which is really cool. But there's always others who are just not ready. And I had that with some of my coaching clients where I'd be like, oh, but here you go. Here, I can just see it. Let's go. And I couldn't work out why they wouldn't do it. I was just like, and then I thought that was a mindset issue on their behalf. And it wasn't. It's just their design. There's a design that is a projector. So the projector is that I can never remember what they're, or close, something enveloping. It's enveloping. My daughter's a projector, so we kind of geek out on this a lot. It was a revelation to know that she was a projector as a child as well, because they are not the kind who's going to go, 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 go. They need a lot of rest. They need to take breaks. They basically need naps during the day. It's kind of like that situation, right? For many of them. But they need to be invited. They need to wait for an invitation. And it's not just like, hey, do you want to come along? Or, hey, be part of this. They need express invitation. So if they don't feel that recognition, which is them being with themselves, like I said, your other one is for you, it's satisfaction. For me, it's peace. For them, it's recognition. They absolutely have to be recognized, not in a vacuous way, like, hey, good job. I mean, although that works for them, it's really like necessary for them to be in their flow, but they get depleted very quickly energy wise. So they're sitting there waiting for an invitation. Then if they take it up and it's not the right invitation, if perhaps they haven't paid attention to their authority, they're going to get really tired really quickly. And they're going to get very kind of resentful too that people are not recognizing them. So if they're doing the work that they want to do, yet they're not getting the recognition, they get really bitter. And so that can also be a source of wanting to blow up your business, or thinking that you can't manage people, or thinking that you don't have what it takes to be cut out for business because you're finding yourself depleted easily. But you are, in fact, a beautiful guide for energy types in particular. Your projectors are great for generators too. So if you have a coach, and some people say like you should have, a projector and a manifester, and there's another very rare type called a reflector, and that every kind of person needs those in their business. A projector coach would come and give you very different guidance to what I would, but you'd still be totally open to it and love it and be like excellent. They can be amazing guides and helping people sort of orchestrate and see, what needs to happen, right? They've got the insight and the patience and the design to kind of do that in a totally different way to what I would do it as a manifester. So projectors are about, I think they're about, 18, 20% of the population. So there's quite a few of them around. And one of the things, if you are a projector, when you do the type report, then you want to kind of pay attention to who you are following or wanting to emulate in your business as well. And just know that there might be some nuances and differences to adjust to your energy type and your energy flow. So if you're trying to replicate exactly what like a generator is doing, like it's great if projectors are working with you, because they're going to be able to see for you, you can still share with them these formulas and these systems and these ways to get them to an understanding about themselves and get them out a lot of their mind drama too. So that benefits there, but it's like also they're not going to have the same level of energy to do things again and again and again that you would have, for example.
Interesting. That's so interesting. It just made me realize that one of my very, very first coaching clients that I started working with, before she said, yes, let's go ahead, she actually asked me for details about my date of birth, my time of birth, and my location of birth.
Yeah.
She was figuring out what my human design was before she signed up to work with me.
Yeah. A lot of people will do that too. Like I've had that before. And even in my early part of the journey, like I really didn't have as much skill in seeing the things that now I've gone deeper into it and studied and under some mentors that, have really helped me see a lot more of it and because, once you're into something, you just can't help but, well, I'm a bit obsessive like that. It's just part of my nature. But yeah, they might be, or they might have just done that with astrology as well. So some people are, just will still want that information for astrology, but that it's likely, they might have been into human design too and seeing, and it can really make a difference to know, okay, what are some of those strategies and how do they communicate and how do they share their work in the world. But you also want to pay attention to, if you're feeling called to somebody, just pay attention to that authority. So that's about making that powerful decision. Like, if I'm still hiring a coach, sometimes like I kind of want to geek out and go, give me your human design. And then sometimes I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to trust that I'm feeling called and this is what I want to do. That's paying attention to my authority, and that's okay. But if you're an emotional person, then you want to make sure you're just not doing it out of, oh my God, I'm so burnt out in my business, I need to get this fixed, right? Because that's not going to be an energy match, or you're not making a powerful decision from your emotional authority, because that's effectively an emotional kind of low, or you're not in that stability of emotions to make that decision. So sometimes it's not going to work out so well, right? And the projectors as well, if a projector joins, say, a group, they might be feeling like, I'm not really getting recognized. Like I'm feeling like I'm on the outer. They kind of can sometimes sit on the sidelines or not really feel included, and can get a little miffed about that at times as well. So it's good to know that as a coach and understand the dynamics that are in your groups too, because like I said, I had this client and she was all kind of gung ho and saying, I really want to make, I need to make more money in my business quicker. And I'm like, well, great. That's my jam. Like, let's go. Here's what you got to do. And bam, 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 ready for someone to just punch it out. But of course, she was a projector. So she didn't have consistent access to energy, but she was what's called a mental projector, which means that their definition is all up in their head and they need to really think things through. Like, not that you want to make decisions from their mind, but they need to give themselves a lot of space and time for it to kind of integrate before they're ready to go. So there I was, just trying to initiate her, and it was just caused a lot of friction. And there I was going, I'm giving you like the best ideas, and some of them were working, and then she was just resisting it like hell. And then I would go, oh my God, like I can't stand this. This is just so annoying. But if I had my better knowledge of human design, then I would have been able to go, no, I'm not the coach for you. This is not going to work at all. So it's kind of interesting, but and it is, there's lots of nuance and layers. And like I said, you can just dive in like I did in the beginning, and it gave me a lot of comfort, and it was fun and just something to kind of try and feel your way into, like astrology or tarot is. Or you can go deeper as well. So
I love that. I need you to come to the mastermind and do everyone's
yes, send them over. I can always have a look if you get them. We'll do the reports and then say, hey, if I've got this, what do you think? But that's the good thing about being a generator. Like you do get on well with all types. So you're not going to have that problem. I have to be careful with it because of my type. It's a bit more rare, and the people have to want to be initiated, and they will generally need to be open to transforming quicker, because I'm like more a short breakthrough kind of person than a like let's hang out for ages. Although I love doing, 12-month masterminds and having clients in there, but I have to be careful about, how I protect my energy. So what
Yeah.
I found I was doing in my first parts of my business was acting like a manifesting generator, right? So I'd be like, well, I can do everything myself, so I'll just do it. And then, I'm going to help everyone, and I want to make sure everyone's happy because I don't ever want them to be pissed off with me, because that feels horrible, right? So we get into, and I'm destined to piss people off, right? Like half the people, I'm going to piss them off. So I have to get better at coping with that.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's just all those nuances. If I'd known, but look, it's all a journey and nothing's wrong. We're all here on the path, and nobody's design is wrong either. The design that you have is perfect. And my mentor says, well, you chose it, so it's yours. Let's
That's
work with it. So
so
yeah.
that's awesome. For our listeners, where
Yes.
can they go to discover what their human design is?
Yes. So come to souldeepsuccess.com. We'll
Mhm.
put it in the show notes as
Absolutely.
well. And you can put in your birth date, place, and time. If you don't have the exact time, because in the UK and they have it on their birth certificate, or I think even in America they do, but we don't in Australia. So it's kind of annoying. So
Yeah.
try and like harass your mother, who
Yeah.
can't be blamed if she can't remember. If you're
Yeah.
lucky enough to still be, I've had people who have also been born in like remote parts of Asia and stuff, and it's just not a thing to
Mhm.
keep those records, right? Like, so sometimes it might not be able to give you those insights if you're really not clear. But if you don't know the time, just put midday in and take a look and see if it resonates. Sometimes it doesn't resonate because the time is off, so you can go and put in another one and try a different time. Or sometimes it's because of our conditioning, that we've been really conditioned out of, being the type that we're here to be. So, if you don't know your time, within a good enough kind of range, then there's a word of caution there that it may not give you the insights or resonate as much as if you're a bit clearer on that. So that is just a bit of a caveat there. But you can get the report and just kind of get some of those top line findings, and then understand how to make better decisions, what your authority is. So don't get too overwhelmed by looking at the chart. The life chart can look a bit like, whoa, what's all this about?
Mhm.
Just knowing your type, authority, and I will be creating more resources to go into your profile and dynamics. And I've got a webinar coming up where I'll just sort of speak more to how it can guide your guide you to sort of your moves that you want to make in life or business, without geeking out too much on. I probably geeked out quite a bit on human design today in the episode, but I've also got a framework that just sort of makes it a lot more kind of practical and easier to manage and come together with other success-minded women to do the same thing. So yeah, so that's coming up too, which is super exciting.
And if someone wants to work with you,
Mm-hmm.
what does that look like? Who do you work with, and what do your programs and coaching look like?
Yeah. So basically, like I said, so those women who perhaps other people think they have it all, or they've accomplished some of what they're here to do, but there's that sort of nagging feeling that, particularly with their life's work, whether that be career or business. Obviously, a lot of your audience is business, and most of the people that come into my world are business owners, because that's who I am, and that's the world I've been living in for a long time as well. So I deeply understand that world. But they might have perhaps, maybe the business is going really well, but the other stuff isn't. And they're sort of feeling that nagging, feeling like either I'm living my life a bit half lived, or I'm compromising, but I don't know how to give myself permission, or I don't know if I'm going to be able to create that. I'm scared to create what I really want to create. I don't know if it's going to be the right thing for me. I can't afford the time, energy, money to perhaps roll the dice on it and it not work. So trying to get a few of those insights into making those moves and having those breakthroughs, a bit like, when we had our beautiful retreat, and I could see that for you.
Yeah.
I have that, but like times even more now with the help of human design. But I do have a lot of instinct just to even get a bit of a sense of that. So it's not about me telling you what to do. This is actually now more of a it's an environment where you can come in, and for 8 weeks, we call it like mapping out your solution. So SOUL, like having your solution in the world. Like, what do you want to offer? How do you want to serve people? How do you want to create success that goes more than surface level? And so they can come in for the 8 weeks into that group, and we can work together, and I can show you some of those elements of the design, and you can take that away and really have more of an idea about the way to a deeper level of success for you. It doesn't mean you have to go and do it straight away, but you're going to absolutely have insights, ideas, and strategies that are going to help you live with way less resistance, make more powerful decisions, and just have a whole lot more clarity, less resistance, less doubt. So that's the offer at the moment. And as we move forward, I'm going to have probably longer, deeper sort of immersions and experiences to do, because I can't help myself. I still love hosting retreats and having women come and work with me live as well. So I'm going to work out ways to do that too. But in the first instance, I'm getting this kind of breakthrough tool up and running, and I'm super excited about it. I love it.
Incredible. It sounds incredible. And if you ever do your retreats, please let me know. They were epic.
I will be letting you know, my darling. Yeah. Of course I will.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so, so much for sharing all of your amazing knowledge on all things human design. I can imagine there's going to be a lot of people that go and listen to this. They'll go and download and do their human design, and then come back and re-listen to this, knowing what their design is, and going,
yes,
oh, that does sound like me. Yes, 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 yes. So
that would be ideal. And actually, even perhaps when you share the episode, just let them know, go and get the report first, and it will give you a bit more insight. Yeah.
Great idea. I'll do a little intro, and we'll say, get the report first.
Yeah, get the report first, go and get it, and come back and knowing that, because the summary page will give them the type and authority. So you don't have to wade through the whole report before you jump in. It will just sort of show that on the first page. So it's kind of cool, which is really good. And thank you for having me on, my darling. Like, this is the first episode I'm doing to share this, so it's kind of like my debut. I have everything finished. And I was tempted. We didn't even talk about ads. Like, can you? I
know. I mean, maybe we have to do another episode.
We can do another one. Like, I still run Facebook ads. I still geek out on Facebook ads. I still do love that. So, but I thought, oh, look, happy to talk about ads, and we'll just, talk about design.
We'll talk about ads in the follow-up, I think, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm more than happy to do that. I'm also more than happy to do a call for your mastermind clients who might want to do an open call, and, we can, kind of do that together or something. I'm totally open to that as well, because I know you do amazing things in the mastermind, and I'm always recommending you to anybody who has an e-com business. Your ability to take what you had from Island Co and grow that while you were doing a coaching business too. Typical generator. I love it. But you made the right decisions, right? Like, you weren't in an emotional up and down when you made those decisions. You were like, this is where I've got to go. Part of your design as well is about being the creative role model. So you have an ability to help creatives create with formula and systems, and find a way to get that out into the world. That's all in your design as well. So it's very cool.
I'm going to go back and reread my design after this immediately. Thank you, honey. Thank you,
my darling.
And thank you, everyone, for listening. I'll list all of the links in the show notes, and where you can go and follow Victoria on Instagram and socials. And thank you again for being here and being so generous with all of your knowledge. Thank you.
My pleasure.